Okay, guys, this is a special live in Israel. And I hope you can hear me because it was like a lot of wind last time we tried to have this conversation about Zion in 1099. So what's happening here now, you can see why we named this, or did we name it, Palai?
1099.
This is part 2 of 1099. And you can see the last group, zoom in, come on, back here, the last artifacts that were found here. And you see what it says early Arabic. So this is where it's happening. So let's start on and try to understand where we are. This is Mount Zion, and it tells you here the fortress from the time of the kingdom of Judah. But it starts here at what is called the Iron Age. Now let's go to the scriptures here, so you can get a little bit. Let's go to it in Daniel's here. It makes mention of the kingdoms. So now here it talks about the Iron Age, and that connects it to the Babylonian Empire in the area of the Iron Age. You see, so now here, then it goes off into where it says the Persian Empire. Then the Hellenistic, they call it here, or Greek Empire. Then we have the Roman Empire. And then when we get to the point where it talks about the Byzantine and early Arab, it talks about the feet, the toes. Now, in this area of the toes, it said the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. So in that area, what happens, that's where the history goes off into, now get a little closer here, Bly. That's where the history goes off into the 1099, where it talks about how Hadrian here had started talking about the Roman emperor. He wanted to, he renamed Jerusalem Aelia Capitolona. You see, so that's where the renaming came in at. And how they wanted to, it says the Jews recaptured Jerusalem in 132, and out of Rome, the Emperor Hadrian drove them out 3 years later. Hadrian tried to end all, here they have Jewish hope of regaining Jerusalem. He renamed the city Aelia Capitolona. You know what I'm saying? So this was a part of his plan. He said he prohibited Jews from visiting and living in the city. You see what I'm saying? So this is where this is his whole thing. So his whole concept here, and I went through this before in videos, where he tried to, it says the holy writing, it talks about how the Jews wanted to return to Mount Zion. And here it says, but the 200-year ban against the Jews from visiting the city was enforced. So for 200 years, they didn't have no Hebrews, no Jews able to come to this place. So they wiped out the memory. But what ends up happening then, it says here, that by the year 200, it said by the year 200, by 200, the Jews from visiting the city no longer was enforced. During the 300, Emperor Constantine the Great made Christianity illegal, the Roman Empire. He rebuilt the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem and gave the city its old name. So that's when Constantine came and gave Bethel its old name. So that's where, so they banned people from coming to Zion. They changed the name of the city, and then they gave Constantine his old name. You follow me? Then Constantine gave that Jerusalem, which was Jerusalem, and was Melchizedek Jerusalem. So what ends up happening here, then this is where you get to what they call the Muslim time, where the Muslims came in and they took the city. So now it said during the 1600s. So when the Muslims came in, now we have a documentation here that we rarely see. But let's go back here. This is Jerusalem when the Romans came in and hated. You see what I'm saying? So this is when he destroyed the city, and then and changed it to Aelia Capitolona. And then right here, well, it's Masada. This is a secret route from the Gate of Zion. This is the Gate of Zion here, and that would take you right down here, and you would go right down to Masada, and everybody know about what happened at Masada and how the Romans eventually destroyed them. You see what I'm saying? This is the route here that this is the route that came up from the sea, how they came up from the sea, and then this is the route here that takes you down to Masada. So that's giving you a reference to give you an understanding. This is the safer gate, or the Silver Gate that they was originally attacking. This is the main point of where the attack with the Romans. And then, but then they had another army coming up toward the sea. And as they had this army attacking here, they had this army attacking here. Then the army that escaped down to Masada went out this way down to Masada. But let's get back to this point of after it was destroyed. What ended up happening was that Hadrian changed the name of the city, and then here you have the Shumanim account, and they make the statement here. The high priest, he said Eliah was a village near Jerusalem. You know, which was left after the destruction of the city. You see, so they identified it. Of course, they said it was a village near Jerusalem. You see, so in going back to this map here, all of this here that was destroyed, this here is Zion right here, and they considered this Zion where we stand right here was a village here or area in Jerusalem, Mount Zion. You see, so on the side of the north. So this is the account about Eliah after Constantine had came back and changed that name to Jerusalem, Amorite Jerusalem, which is still named it today. The Shumanim had identified the actual Jerusalem as surviving the destruction. And as you can see here, they tell you that from the Romans that came here, that it survived the destruction. This is the part here. This is the time period of that the Shumanims were speaking of. You see. So now let's get a little bit more understanding of who buried Zion. So then what ended up happening here, we had the Arabs again. It got here this other account talk about Hadrian ordered the exploration of the circumcised from Aelia Capitolona, and talk about how Constantine 200 years later came and renamed that city Christian Jerusalem. But then here it goes off into the fall of Jerusalem to the Muslims. So from the time that the Christians, the Romans had took over, this is when the Prophet Muhammad, after he had died, his servants came in and they Aelia Capitolona. You see what I'm saying? And here is a Muslim account. This is a Muslim account. The agreement that was made between the Arabs and the Christians of how not to, again, to remain in this city. You see, so this is the second account. They wasn't referring to here in this Arabic. They wasn't referring to the place they called Jerusalem. Here they said Aelia Capitolona. So they referring to right here to where we're standing at right now. You see, so none of that, so all of that took place. Back to this chart here. All of that took place until we get to the point of what they call the First Crusade, 1099. Crusaders came to Jerusalem and established the Latin Kingdom. So that's where that 1099, come on over here, Ply, and you can see here the what? 1099. You see, so that's the last thing that was, last time this city was seen before the Christians and the Arabs came together with, and buried the city. Now this is the actual account here, saying what happened at that time. And this is the thing that this is the information we was giving you before and the wind, but you couldn't hear it. Well, now I hope everybody can hear it and understand it. Cause now okay, so the moon actually disappeared from the sky. So a lot of the people that sit back and ask me about Howshua, what about that Mount Zion? It's God showed when they buried this place. There was earthquakes as they were burying it for the years that they were here. They buried it. It says here, these 9 years as they buried the city, the real Mount Zion, volcano eruptions occurred around the world, releasing towers of clouds of ash, traveled worldwide. And that ash, according to the scientists, that called in 1109 to 1110, that the moon in the sky had disappeared. So the Most High showed his anger to the whole world And most people didn't understand. The scientists and all the people in the world, they didn't understand what the Edomites had done when they actually came here and buried the city. The Edomites came together under what is called the secret combination. And they came together and they actually buried the city of Mount Zion. This is a map here. Let's show you here. Let's show you a little bit more. This is a map here of the place they call Jerusalem. And this is the map for it's 1250 right here. This is a 1250 map, and they got Jerusalem the center of the earth. Here go another map here now. We're Area Capitolona in 1532. And you see Area. So they were still calling this place Area, while they was calling that place Jerusalem. And you can see this place here surrounded by mountains, according to the scripture. And you can see Masada is right there. You see, which is Masada is right down at the bottom of this hill. You see, but this here is the, look, this here is how they had the whole place buried. They had buried the whole place. The archaeologists didn't come and find Zion or dig it up. It had all, the Most High uncovered Zion. The Most High uncovered the hill that they buried it under. Every year, the water would deteriorate. The water from the rain uncovered Mount Zion. You see? And so then these are the last. So this is the archaeological record. How they found Hebrew artifacts here, Aramaic artifacts. That was the Babylonian. Then you have the Greek, the Arabic, and the last thing that they found here, as we showed you, was in 1099. And this is the Arabic artifacts that they have here, identified as the house of Allah. You see. So now at this point, what happened? What happened? You see, who buried the city? You see. And what happened, it was the secret combination. It was the secret combination. What happened is that these people here, and they identify who did it. This is the name. And read that name out loud for them, Peliah.
Hugues de Payens, the master of the Templar Order.
You see, they call him Hugo. And he's the master of the Templar Order. And so what happened is that the Masons of the Order of the Assassins, and this is the Arabs that came together, and they called them the Templars. Now look at the final years of the what? The Assassins. This was the Assassins. You see what it says there? 1099. And they talk about what? The Assassins, the Order of the Assassins. You see that? And they helped to bury this city. And let's get specific when we start talking about these assassins. So you again, let's zoom ahead over here and show you a map of Mount Zion. Let's try to give you guys an understanding, because all this is to give you understanding, 1099, of who buried the house of the Most High. And it was these so-called Templars that came together with the Arabic assassins, and they were in agreement with each other to bury Zion, to keep Zion from the world, and nobody want to mess with it.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so see here, you can see a map here where we at Zion, and this here is Mount Moriah, which is right over there, the Valley of Becca. So what's happening here? So it's a place of difference between the temple, because the Most High said He's going to return unto Zion, and upon Mount Zion, that's where He's going to rule. So why these Masons, these Templars, these assassins?
Yeah.
Okay, but like, so what's happening is that, so we are shown here how the Masonic order, and they use these symbols here. These are all the symbols, and in the black community here, which was represented this order of assassins in America among our people. Here you have the two wings, or the two-headed serpent here, and you can see you have 4 presidents that was a part of this, and this is supposed to be all the eastern wing, Tunis, You know, some Ararat, Islam. You see, this is supposed to be the Western wing. So these represented the two groups of the leaderships now, at this time, that represented the two factions.
Okay, go.
You see, so that title is dealing with the Mason order. And we have that among our people and been up for years. So now I think it's interesting that as I'm talking about reparations, that we have a Grand Master J steps up and goes down to Georgia, to deal with the claim. You see, and everybody's trying to understand where did he come from. Well, he's identified himself as a part of the order of what the Bible called the order, the secret combination, and that's that secret combination that the scripture goes off into. Turn to that. That the scripture goes off into. It's to find a reference to the combination and when they first started. You see, so keep it. Read that, Sipa.
And our spirits must unto him, and we become devil, to be shut out from the presence of our God.
So this is talking about the fallen angels, and a lot of the so-called Masons call themselves connecting with a lot of these fallen angels. You'll see a lot of the literature and have a lot of the fallen angels, and to connect with them, to work. Continue reading.
And to remain with the father of lies in misery.
Yeah, go.
Okay, keep reading. Yeah, get to the point.
Who transformeth himself nigh unto an angel of light, and striketh up the children of men.
So the Islamic and all these assassins, they tell you that they're representing life, the angel of light. Keep reading.
Angel.
You see where it talks about how they use the signs to identify each other.
And it came to pass that they did have the signs, the secret signs, and the secret words, and that they might distinguish a brother who had entered in, that whatsoever wickedness do, he should not be injured by his brother.
So in the Book of Mormon, this is the only place understanding of this secret combination and how they use